All right, we'll consider ourselves called to order for the May meeting of the Calvert City Planning Commission. First item of business would be the approval of our minutes from our special call meeting of April 30th, 2026.
I've reviewed the minutes and making a motion we approve as presented.
Motion by Gary. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All right.
No
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed by like sign, that takes care of that. Good.
I've read them. It looks good.
All right. So as you were from from Brad and Kathy, since you weren't here, at the
Yeah.
special call meeting,
All that.
one of the things that we talked about was, who's the guy?
Mitchell.
Mitchell,
Mitchell came in and was asking about, I guess he has purchased and is updating the old Holiday Inn property.
Mhm.
Ramada Inn property in your time frame,
Yep.
probably. But anyway,
Actually, it's been nothing since I moved here,
yeah.
but yeah,
Okay, Ameriview then.
there you, sure.
Okay. But in doing that, one of the things he would like to do is to, I guess, reestablish the old par 3 golf course that was there.
Mhm.
Well, one of the things that we have in our schedule of uses is golf courses are not allowed in a limited use zone. And as we talked about it last month or at the last meeting, maybe that was an oversight on our part because, I mean, if it's things to bring tourism and even to the point of, as I pointed out, I don't see another golf course as competition to the state park course. It adds to it, I think. So that's one of the items. The second item is that he would like to, with the lodge that he is building, there would be a restaurant, but also would like to do I guess you would,
Manufacturing.
yeah,
production.
manufacture of preparing meals that they would use for, in my mind, Marcellus type thing of helping folks. But doing that in a way where that it's, how would you describe it, Gary? Kind of to the point of where in the restaurant, you'd be able to see the food being prepared. So
But
it's
he's
kind of
He's wanting to do wild game though.
of doing
It's
a,
an FDA.
Yeah.
kind of like,
But
Well-
like Mega Fit, not selling, not.
Yeah.
No.
It's gonna be similar to that because it's a production of
Okay,
meals.
that's what I was picturing.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
big production of
But they're
meals,
not
even though
selling
he
it.
may be giving them away, it's still a production process.
Okay.
yeah.
And so it would be like Mega Fit meals or any other production. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
But I don't think so. I don't think we want to allow that.
I think that it's gonna be hard to separate the two.
No,
Or to split it up.
Because think of it along the lines of as he described it, what I heard described was that they're preparing meals where the folks are watching. So that's going to have to be on a certain, we'd have to limit the time. It can't be a 24-hour operation. It can't probably even be I don't know, maybe not even a 7-day-a-week operation. But if you're going to do it for the purpose of even though the goal may be to meet a need, we've got to look at it from, in my mind, of a standpoint of it's something that attracts tourists and you're going to look at and see what's going on. So I think there's got to be some real tight boundaries put on that to the point where it is more of a display type thing than it is a food production type thing, even though they're producing food. Does that make sense? That's why I see this. If you're going to be able to do it in that area, you're going to have to limit what they're able to do with that.
You're gonna have to redefine that type of production or that manufacturing. You're gonna have to redefine that because right now, the only thing that we define that is one with or one without
Mhm.
explosives. And that's how manufacturing production is separate.
But if it was to be a microbrewery,
Same thing.
okay, so that's my question. We'd have to do it because even I think that was mentioned the other night in the meeting, that may be something that, that had it been talked about if there's a microbrewery put in there. So how would we handle something like that? And I think you've got to put something again, in the area that we're talking about, it's got to be specialized. It can't be a mega fit,
Mhm.
honestly. It wouldn't fit.
With big trucks coming in there.
Right.
No,
It would not
semis
fit.
coming in there, no,
Yeah, when we're talking about
no.
the money that was spent on that boulevard and what we have to spend each year to keep it up, we've got to make sure that it does not turn into
Mhm.
that type of
Right.
Exactly
manufacturing
right.
production, because
That's why I
that
said,
was a $9 million project, okay? We have to maintain that every year. We spend several $100,000 maintaining that,
Mhm.
between landscaping, mowing, the airport. So I mean, and that's not all for just that one, but that's in total. But I mean, it's just one of those things that you have to be very, very careful how you tread with this, because you may open it back up. We also shut down a gentleman who wanted to put in storage
Mhm.
and warehousing.
right.
And if you're gonna do production, you gotta have warehousing.
Mhm. Yeah, some
So you have to be
storage.
careful how you
Yeah.
proceed
Yeah.
with this, because it could put us in a bind with others who wish to do things we definitely don't want in
Right.
that. So again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be very careful how you address this,
Yeah,
because it could go quickly downhill. That's what I'm concerned. I just want to make sure that
right.
whatever we
Well,
do, it's thought about.
And
that.
again, the only thing I see that you could possibly do to fit that zone would have to be a very limited, and probably is not going to match what Mitchell has got in his mind, because again, I don't think you could even consider putting something in that, and again, not to, but just for the sake of illustration, you can't put a mega fit in there.
No,
Even if it's attached to the restaurant, and even if it's, you're watching them fix, you can't do a mega fit thing, type of thing. It can't be a major production. It'd have to be a limited. Now, I'm going to go back to a Marcellus thing. If it was a 1 meal a day that you're cooking and it was limited to that 1 meal a day, maybe something like that would fit, where again, it's the novelty of it, that watching it go in. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to I'd have to talk to him I don't really understand.
I think that
I mean, I don't get what he's trying to accomplish with like it sounds like packaged meals.
It is.
And then at that point, you're talking about freezing. So then you're talking, that's another whole
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Well, we
So,
haven't talked to him, but his lawyer was telling us it's like real personal, like a mission to him.
Right.
To feed hungry people.
And that's
that,
great, but
yeah,
well,
that's all we've heard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I think the thing that you're gonna have to look at is that I don't know we have a clear
Yeah.
definement of what he's actually wanting to do.
yeah,
Right.
put a
And I'm
restaurant in there and
I
great.
wonder at some
Great.
point, I mean, I've heard what Mr. Adams was saying, but I'm still not sure that that's what I heard to begin with.
Hmm.
What I heard from him and what I have heard, I'm not sure that we're on the same page.
Right.
And I
One of the
think that's
things
what
also
we got,
for y'all
what we just gotta do. is
That
find
we
out.
ask them to do is if they could come up with just at least a conceptual sketch of what they have in mind, what this looks like, because there again, if we're able to do anything with it, it's going to be I could see there's going to be some very tight restrictions on what they do and when they do and how much they do.
Mhm.
And I think how much they do really gets to be the defining factor of it, because again, it's going to be you're going to have to limit that very much because of exactly what you said. Both the transportation of the freezing and all that stuff, all those pieces add to that, and all of a sudden it becomes,
A mega
and
fit.
again, not to disparage, but a mega fit
Yeah.
that that wouldn't fit in that zone.
Can you, I mean, can we regulate hours of operation? I mean, is that even something that you can tell them that you can't be operational after a certain time frame? Because this is why I'm saying that.
I mean, I'm gonna. defer
That'd be,
that
if it was
over
under
to you.
conditional
I-
use.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, if it was under conditional use.
Yeah, absolutely in a
Then
conditional
you kind of
use,
get into
But I
some,
mean,
But if you're gonna allow it as right or anything, you wouldn't be able to. I
no,
guess.
no, nothing is a matter of right in an LU.
Right.
Everything is a conditional use in an
Yeah.
LU. Limited use, so nothing is a matter of
It
right.
would be by conditional use.
Yeah, it have to be. But at the other time is making sure you have some understanding as to what those values are. That they want to make sure that the Board of Adjustments enforces the values that you want.
Yeah.
In
Right.
that.
the reason why I ask is if you're trying to open a restaurant and you're serving from these hours, you're not necessarily going to be in the background making these meal preps at the same time. So then you're like, you kind of look at off hours and I'm like, ugh, it seems like then you get into kind of some slippery slopes. Cause then if you got a hotel, it's like, well,
Oh,
they don't
really?
have hours of operations. They're open 24/7. Like, yeah, technically, but who's to say you can't stay open late? Or I don't know, just these seems like a lot of question marks when it comes to that.
Right.
What is is there a chain that he's bringing in, or is it
Mm-mm.
gonna be a
This is a
the
new-
boutique hotel?
This would be kind of a boutique lodge is what he said. He's doing a lodge.
Yeah,
That's why the,
Huntsman's Law, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
think That sounds good, and restaurant in the part 3.
I mean, he's
sounds
already
amazing.
been, he's already been approved for,
But
he's already approved for hotel, motel, restaurant. He's all approved to move forward with his ABC retail sales or alcoholic beverage retail sales.
okay,
Those are approved. The only thing he doesn't have that he's asking for would be the golf course, the not-home golf course, and then the production.
We're gonna have to have more information,
But
more discussion.
you do bring up a good point with the microbrewery because that's manufacturing, that's production.
right,
And so how, somebody could come in and say, well, how would you allow that and not this? It's just different products. In my mind, they're different, very different, but in somebody else's mind, they're gonna probably look at it as the same operation. And
Unless you define them differently.
unless you define them differently, but as it is
And
right
then,
now.
then it has to
Mhm.
stand the test of legal,
Mhm,
legal stress is gonna be on that too. So
yeah,
we're making a product,
right.
we're making
Make
a
it a product,
product.
exactly.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I'm not trying to be negative about this, but I'm just saying this is a slippery slope we have to be careful of.
right,
Because once we go down this slope, if we go down it the wrong way, we've opened it up for Mega Fit, Mega Meals,
Mhm.
for anybody that's wanting to
Well,
do production.
and again, to me, the opposite side of but with the Gilligan, I'll talk the other side of the argument, is that when MegaFit started, that was a small little company
yeah.
taking over part of the building. They had the physical therapy shop and they had their, and then it has grown. So there again, I know from working with Marcellus, the need continues to grow. And if you're talking about meeting a need of folks that are in need of food, that market grows and continues to grow. So there would have to be some very tight restriction. And there again, to your point, if even if we were to say something like a microbrewery, if you use that on the flip side of it, how do you quantify and define what we would allow in that area?
Mhm.
Define what Marcellus actually does.
We provide lunch,
Okay,
Monday
you
through
make
Friday.
one meal a week,
1 meal a
a
day,
day,
5 days a week.
5 days a week. So you're limited. You're doing meals just like you would for a restaurant, even though that these are carryouts.
Yes, no. We have a dining
People
room
come
that
in?
people come in, and then we home deliver about 200.
Well, I said you still do deliveries as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
All right,
Yeah.
so, all right, but
Right.
no
Shipping.
shipping. There's no trucking.
no, there's no trucking. I mean, but in a
There's
sense, we
volunteers.
still have
delivering
volunteers that show up and load their coolers of meals and go out and deliver on 7 different routes around the county. So,
That's not frozen meals halfway across the country.
exactly right.
Yes.
Exactly right. Big difference.
Okay, well,
Really be nice to have Mr. Mitchell here with us to hear our concerns and tell us what he's envisioning, is.
we can just ask him to come back at the next meeting that you guys have and let him describe it a little more in detail. But that may be a defining line there. And you have a market, and the market is a local market. The market is in need, just like you're talking about. But it is limited to what it produces and when it's producing. It's producing
right.
it for lunch,
Right,
5 days a week, not 7 days a week, not 2 shifts a day or something like that.
right.
It's not being frozen and trucked out
Is
Right.
it just gonna be delivered fresh daily in
Yeah.
the?
by
area?
volunteers or whatever.
And
What's
that's
his
where I
plan?
see that maybe you fit something, again, maybe you can make that a novelty thing that, because there again, And
I
from,
think you're.
from me, from a, you know, and I know I'm biased in it, but it's pretty neat to watch the operation of Marcellus.
Mhm.
You see the volunteers show up and they start cooking, and the mechanism that goes into producing 350 meals a day, that's pretty cool. But
I'm not so sure I'm sold on that as being
it's lunch.
a destination, you know.
Yeah,
That's what I was
I
gonna
know.
say.
I mean,
Yeah.
But I agree with the fact that what Marcellus is doing, I would not necessarily consider that manufacturing or production, because they're not doing stuff that they freeze and then ship. They're doing stuff locally. They're doing stuff for that meal only.
yeah,
I mean, it's a
Mhm.
kitchen
right.
that does meals,
Mhm.
just like
Yes.
any other restaurant.
Restaurant.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's where we look at this.
Mhm.
Mark, what time do they start food prep?
They'll start usually about 6:30 in the morning.
6:30.
And they're cooking from like 6:30 to 9:30, and then they package the
Okay.
home delivered meals and then start serving out of the dining room at 11. So there's folks going on from 6:30 to 1:30.
That's what I was wondering
basically.
at that time frame.
That's the time frame for that.
I'm just on the afternoon shift there.
Yeah.
so,
But in my mind, and again, to your point, is that something that tourists are going to come to watch? No, but if I'm in the lodge and I'm sitting there eating,
Mhm.
yeah,
It's something to.
it's something to watch.
Yeah,
But
agreed,
yeah,
agreed.
but there again, I think you've got to be very careful. And like you said, Brad, if you talk about, which was mentioned in a meeting, something like a microbrewery or something coming in, well, then do we even want to go that far?
Mhm.
Because I don't know anything about microbrewery, but I wouldn't think that, 6 hours a day would accomplish what they'd want to accomplish.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
Right.
I'm-
Yeah.
and there's part of that, a lot of them do have their, fermentation tanks, like viewable there. Yeah, and you see people working back there. So yeah, you get tours of them. So there's a piece of it. Of course, then you get into like, do they can and bottle? And that's a whole other, but they're still producing. So again, that's kind of like, if without defining it, if you do that and you allow somebody, a microbrewery to come in, they'll get to a certain point where they're like, well, now we want a can, now we want a bottle, now we want to ship, and now you've got a
Yeah.
whole other can of worms to open.
Right.
And again, that's one of those situations where we have room in our HOC2, our B2,
Yeah.
and our industrial for these operations. It's not like we're hurting for property for this. We've got property, there's property available.
Mhm.
And again, production is allowed as a conditional use in B2 and HOC2.
So question, who's to say, Mama D's produces an extra pizza every hour and sends it out the back door and feeds people? That goes to, we don't know that, but it's also not production because it's just a restaurant that's donating food
right.
as they get it prepared,
As they're preparing their regular.
as they're
you know, this
preparing
is-
their regular.
it's going on at the same time.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
not something that is separate.
that's right.
And it's not something that they're storing back.
Mhm.
It's not something they're shipping out with trucks, Bob trucks or tractor trailers. They're just.
Yep.
Are either giving it, donating it, or someone's coming to pick it up,
Right.
or maybe somebody hauls it to them.
Right.
But again, it's one of those local operations. It's not one that's being shipped across the country.
Right.
Mhm.
I think the big flash stuff, if I'm reading you right, it's like, we do not want semis
No.
going in and out of there.
No.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want.
Right. Right.
I think what I'm trying to say is, if we start a production that allows storage
Mhm.
and shipping to go out of that, we've opened up that whole
Mhm.
area
Right.
to manufacturing.
Mhm.
And I want to say that,
That's
that's
not
not
really
where we
what we
want to
have
go, or at
in
least
mind.
that's what I have always believed.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not what we wanted.
Yeah.
And because of everything going out there being by conditional use, they wanted a little more control of that.
Mhm.
Now, am I trying to shut him down? Absolutely not. I think there is some place that we can meet in the middle,
Right.
but it just depends on what his mindset is and where he wants to go with this, as opposed to what we feel is right for that area.
Well, and the other
What you guys
side,
think about
and I
that?
think it has to be said, is even though I think all of us would love to see that property developed and turned back into something that we're proud of.
Mhm.
We can't allow, that carrot for us to allow them to do something that we really don't want done, be able to get that property developed. And so I hope that his development is not contingent upon I either get to do this or I do nothing.
Yeah.
But if that be the case, sorry, I think that's where we're all at. Yeah.
Does the health department care about that? I mean, as far as like, I mean, you may know from Marcellus, but
I mean, I know we're subject to health department regulations and health department inspections and so forth. So the health part that would be there. But I don't know about if Joel was here, he could fill you in on the
yeah,
fine tuning of that to see.
I just didn't know if it'd be just like carry out kind of,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Do we have
It's-
extra guidelines for wild game?
It's gonna be-
Assuming we do.
And he's trying to say that the wild game is gonna be like otherwise disposed of, like they're.
In other words, you're donating a deer or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the USDA would
Right.
determine that is, like,
See-
where's that meat
Not
coming
roadkill.
from?
I don't know, and how was it handled?
Yeah.
See, I don't know about that. I don't, that's way out of my wheelhouse on that one.
And
Well,
that's-
You know-
question,
Meals,
there was
the-
something in there about
Wild game.
hangers,
yeah.
like airplane hangers? Wasn't
No,
that-
that's totally something
Oh, yeah.
different.
And he wants access to the
That's-
airport.
I killed this
That was-
deer.
yeah.
That
proposal or
wasn't something they
something.
brought up, but that's not the issues that we're dealing with at this moment.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking.
That right there is an issue he's gonna have to deal with the
Hangers.
state and the FAA. That's not something that we're, at this point, we're ready to deal with that.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Airport's supposed to get a fence around.
Yeah.
it.
Only
And
lunch,
how many, about, did you say?
350.
about 350 a day, 350, 360.
Is that just Marshall that you?
Yes, yeah. Now, well, I say that, anyone who comes to the dining room,
Sure.
anyone comes to the dining room. But the routes we home deliver, there are 7 routes around the county, but it's all only in Marshall County, we home deliver. And that's the homebound folks.
Okay.
So sounds like maybe what we need to do, John, is invite him and explain to him maybe what our concerns are and see if we could come back in and share his vision of what he would really like to see done there. And knowing that,
I think getting a true, I think he's coming to the area of where he wants to be with this concept of this thought process he's coming with. Because it's developed over the time and it changed a little bit. So maybe he's at the point where he can come and actually give us a good, clear picture
Yeah.
of what he's thinking and give you all some ideas so you can make
Does something-
determinations.
Does something need to be determined about the golf course so he can proceed with
That
that?
we do need, and I have to agree with that. I think when you look at and some of the research that Troy's done, and I go back and confirm that, but we have arenas and other sports outdoor activities that are allowed in an LU, but for some reason we let golf stay out of it.
Mm.
And I think that was an oversight on our
Mhm.
part. I really
Yeah.
think that was not intentional.
We just
I
didn't think of
don't
it.
think anybody here from the last meeting even thought it was
Right.
intentional.
No.
So I guess the deal on that is to get one, do an amendment, we have to do a public hearing on it, but do amendment now. And get it drafted up to amend, basically it's just change the schedule
schedule
of
of uses is
uses
all it take,
to
right?
allow
Conditional.
that
use.
to be part of it, put golf courses in there.
Well, I think golf
Well,
courses is in there, I believe.
No, what was it? Putt golf is in there.
No.
Mini.
No,
Yeah, golf courses is in there, but it's not allowed in this.
well, that's what I mean, but that's what I mean, the change would be to do a conditional use for golf courses.
That's correct. Put it in
In a
LU.
limited use.
Allow it in LU.
That's all
That's
we
correct.
take, yeah.
That'd be a simple fix right there.
Yeah.
So, but we could bring that up, do it and get ready for the next meeting and do
Right.
the, something on that one.
Yeah.
I just think he's done a lot out there. I would think if has to have something he needs to move on.
Well, I mean, he's definitely moving on. There's no doubt of that. And he's got permission to move on. I mean, like I said, he's got conditional use for hotel motel. the restaurant being incidental to that. And then also his alcohol beverage retail sales. I mean, he's got the conditional uses for those, so he's got those are taken care of. What he
That
doesn't
was,
have,
that wasn't mentioned at the meeting last time, and I'm glad to hear that, because, I didn't know exactly where that stood, so.
I think actually that was done prior to the meeting, wasn't it?
So,
I think so.
Yeah,
We did that on the 30th of last month, if I'm not mistaken, or the 20th, something. We did it
Our,
prior.
our
to-
meeting was the 30th.
All right, well, we did it prior to that.
Yeah, okay,
I think, so anyway, but yeah, he's got those are
Okay.
approved.
good.
What he doesn't have is, like I said, the golf course, and then however we want to address the other one. Because those are not allowed, not even,
Yeah,
so.
right, right.
Again, the golf course is kind of a simple fix. The other one is gonna be the one that's more problematic, I guess. So. But I'll get with, Mr. Adams or Mr. Mitchell or both. And tell them that you guys would like to speak with them more in detail
Yeah.
on this particular part of the project.
Yeah, I would encourage if we could to get Mr. Mitchell himself in here. I mean,
I'll
again,
make sure.
Mr. Adams doesn't know his vision, what he's, he's trying to display it, but he doesn't know the vision, and
I want to see
I'd like to hear what he really wants to.
Yeah, I
be
just want to
thinking
see
about
what the
doing.
inside of it.
And I think we need to make sure that, and if you haven't mentioned to him, but I mean, that there are HOC 2 and 3 areas that,
He knows.
okay,
You can go build somewhere else.
Yeah.
And HOC 2, B2, we've gone through all that with him.
okay,
And he does own property in HOC 2.
okay.
So,
That'd be simpler for everybody.
Mhm.
But I think from our standpoint, because of the mention of something like a microbrewery, that, let's go back to a micro distiller.
Sure.
Kentucky bourbon, I mean, if that were to come in, that whole LU was supposed to be Kentucky related stuff, and you can't get more Kentucky related than a distillery. So how does that fit? Does it fit?
again, I still think, once you open up manufacturing, you've gone down a slippery slope that's
Exactly right.
dangerous.
Right,
Like I said, and then, do we continue to maintain the corridor?
right.
Or do we let it go back to what it was?
But you can still define that, right? I mean,
What's that?
if you're talking about a microbrewery, micro distillery.
Again, HOC 2 is close in that area, and there's ground out there that's available.
Yeah,
So it's hard for me to say that we need to change LU for manufacturing.
Oh,
when HOC 2 is right
yeah,
there.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in the event that somebody has
Interested
property
in
there and
doing
they're
that.
interested in doing it, I'm just thinking ahead.
Yeah,
It's something that we may have to address.
When that comes up, I probably won't be around to talk to you about it, so.
Come on, John.
all right. So Miss Ashley, can you work us up the text amendment for that?
Yeah.
Have that for the next meeting?
Yes.
All right.
Like, no, we need to advertise in the paper, okay?
Anything else we need? You got anything else, John?
I don't think so, not at this point in time.
What about the Hawkins house?
We'll make a note to contact Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Adams and make sure we try to get them down here. For the next meeting so that they can actually address all that.
All right. Kathy, you got something?
I would ask about what was.
Oh, yeah, we'll
what
give it-
was the
I'm
Hawkins
sorry,
house.
we'll give you some updates. Troy's been
The
busting,
burn house.
he's been busting out, and so
Go for it.
Now, I spoke to Mr. Morris, he owns the property, the gentleman lives in Wisconsin. But he told me his story, we talked about what had happened, I reached out to Tim Davis, firehead, or the fire chief, and then the chief of police as well, they do not have an active case on it.
I'm sorry, what is this?
The house that's burnt down over here on
Main.
90, yeah,
right beside Boots and Blues.
Yes, got it, okay.
Oh.
yeah, we've had
Common
several.
law.
complaints.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we've had several complaints about it, people were curious about it, so.
Gotcha.
I opened a case on it and sent him a notification and he responded, very polite. And I don't think he's trying to be a problem for us. He just didn't know. He's curious as to what's happening. So I told him I'd follow up. So in doing so, I did follow up with everybody and I just have to do another follow up with him to see how he wants to proceed. He did not have insurance on it. So he's basically just at a loss.
Yeah.
So.
While you're at it, go ahead and hit on what's going on over in Alaska and Arkansas.
Oh, okay. We had apparently there was a property on the corner of Second in Arkansas. There's a trailer right there that even the people in the neighborhood complained about. And we had cases on it in the past. It's been a major, major problem. The gentleman cleaned it up fairly well, especially for what it was. He did quite an amazing job to get it remote, at least close to being okay. So that it's not closed yet, but in turn, what happened is the other residents that were nearby that were also a problem that didn't look as bad as that property. Now that that property got cleaned up, there started standing out. And there's,
Dominoes.
yes, there was more dilapidated structures. And so the more I was in the neighborhood, the more I started to photograph to document. One property owner decided to go ahead and destroy and demo mobile home and to remove it themselves, and they're doing a pretty decent job at it. And then I've got two more there, along with the vacant lot that I spoke to a gentleman today, and they're gonna cut trees and stuff back, but the structures they need to really prove that the structures are livable and repairable, because as our KRS states, they're inoperable and uninhabited, they're not inhabited, and these are not. They got trees
Growing up in them.
well, I mean, it is just, yeah, it's
Grow through.
I opened a nuisance case on a lawn on a property in that area, and that lady decided to, share her knowledge about other properties.
You're gonna make me do it.
That all too.
I was like, you don't say, really. And so as I to another property in the adjoining street to photograph that one, I look up and I'm like, wow, there it is. So it's kind of become I mean, yeah, it's probably a 5 property.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something else is we've actually addressed, or he actually addressed the house over here on Elm Street.
Oh.
That had a roof that had caved in because of a tree that fell on it. Well, the guy that owned it had put a tarp over it, but the tarp had yielded to the weather. And he had sold the house to someone else. Well, he got in touch, he called Troy, they talked. He told him who the new owner was. Troy contacts the new owner. That weekend, he had a crew in. That house is back up and operational now.
yeah, it was a brick structure. That when the tree hit it, part of the wall was coming down, and there was large portions of it, and there's children playing in the yard next door, and it was overgrown, things
Yeah.
like that. So it was a problem, but they were very cordial and they acted very quickly. And they, not only did they repair the structure, but they stripped it, put a new roof on it, brought a roll off over there. I guess they're gonna remodel the house and make it a normal property again. So that
They
went
just
very
need
well.
a nudge.
Yeah, I've been blessed with fortunate, everybody's some mad, but they've
Well,
worked with us.
I hate to interrupt, I'm sorry to interrupt, but one of the reasons is Troy does this on a full-time basis now. And we're not having to do it part-time or piecemeal.
Yeah.
And that has made it just his appearance and his being out there has made a big difference. People realize that, okay, they're not playing anymore. Now they're serious. They've got somebody out here all the time and he's looking.
Yeah.
He's not even looking, he's photographing.
Right.
And so it really has stepped up people's response to things.
And that's a good thing.
And they're actually moving forward a lot of times without even having to send letters.
Yeah.
I mean, we're closing mowing or not, or at least temporary suspending mowing because we're not having to go send mowing crews out because they're knocking it out as they get the letters. Or letting you know other people need to be addressed as well. So,
Yes.
So
Good work,
question
Troy.
that
Thank
to-
you.
To the Hawkins house, so if, what?
They have a
how-
time frame. Everyone has a time frame to appeal.
Okay,
So if he decides to appeal, he can come in and present that. At this point, they all have 30 days to appeal.
that's the basic. And
Right.
if there is they work out a deal to bring it back up or something like that, we'll work with them. If not, then they can either appeal it. Or at that point in time, then we start looking at sending notices out to any lien holders that might be it and make sure that's taken care of. That's another 45 days. But in the end, our goal is to try to encourage them to demolish as
That's
opposed to
my
us
question.
doing it.
Okay.
And so far, we've been lucky. We haven't had to do anything. It's been handled just since Troy's been there. It's been handled by the individual.
So he would still, I mean, if he could keep the property.
Yes.
And demolish the house.
Mhm.
Yeah, he can, yes.
That's an option.
If we demolish it, then he has to pay us for the demo
Mhm.
or we put a lien on it.
But he is in contact with me.
Okay.
And when I told him I would follow up, he supported it and gave me his information.
He's always been very cordial.
So,
Every time I've spoken to him and even with Troy, he's always been very cordial.
yeah, I think it's just a matter of him being away
Yeah.
and not understanding the,
Mm.
what it really is in
Right.
the moment.
It
And
just
so,
looks terrible
Yeah.
coming into town.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we do have an active
Good.
case. It is on the clock, so to speak. So it will be addressed.
Very good. Anything else? Got a motion, we adjourn.
Make that motion.
A motion by Brad, there a second?
Second.
Have a second by Kathy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 6:07.
Cool.
Okay.
Microbrewery in that LU.
No, I